So we're going to do sentencing on a murder case. I realize that sometimes cases, people are very emotional, but that is not going to happen in this courtroom. If there is any outburst from anyone, you will be escorted not only from this courtroom, but from the courthouse. There is to be no video, cell phone taking in this courtroom by any parties in the gallery. Does everyone understand? If people cannot follow those rules, you will be escorted out of the courthouse in this courtroom. All right, the court is going to call 2019 CR 10921, State of Texas versus Brandon Guzman. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Jason Garrahan and Daniel Escobar, Your Honor.
Defense?
Robert Maurer for defendant.
Are you Mr. Guzman?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, the defendant went to jury trial on the charge of murder. He entered a plea of not guilty, and he was found guilty by jury. We're here for sentencing today. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report, state?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense?
Yes.
Any objections to the PSI report, state?
Not from the state, Your Honor.
Defense?
No.
State, any witnesses for punishment?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, state, call your first witness. If neither party has any opening statements, we'll proceed with testimony.
We'll waive our opening statement.
I waive opening, Judge.
All right. Defense, do you have any witnesses?
I do, Judge.
I'll call your first witness.
I'd like to call Crystal Gonzalez.
Crystal Gonzalez. Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you can take a seat. Make sure you speak up so the court
Yes.
reporter can hear. And if you'll state your name for the record and spell it, please.
My name is Crystal Gonzalez.
All right.
Proceed.
Yes.
Crystal, how are you related to Brandon Guzman?
I'm his cousin.
Okay, and you understand we're here today because he was found guilty on this murder charge, and it's time for the judge to assess punishment.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so you and I talked earlier about Brandon, and can you tell me about or tell the judge about Brandon's childhood?
He lived a very hard childhood. I can relate to that because I did too. And Brandon's such a good kid. It's just he was raised wrong. I raised him. He was raised by my grandmother. She got sick. She passed away. And so he was adopted. He was in foster care and he got adopted by a family member. So, you know, his mother was never there for him growing up.
Okay, and I believe you said he had been in and out of foster care,
Right.
correct? And there were issues in his childhood that that you thought caused some emotional issues, correct?
Yes. I was too. And I feel like we never got the help we needed and he didn't either. And he looked up to my grandma so much, the one that raised her, and she passed away and she was no longer here to be there for him. And he just went, you know, he made wrong decisions and went the wrong path. Thankfully, I didn't because I had like my kids to look up to. But
So what are you asking the judge to consider? I mean, obviously, he's been found guilty of this charge.
I know that we all pay for what we do, but I just ask that you give him a lighter sentence due to his past and him having he was lost. He doesn't have his mother. She gave him up. She's still not even around to be there right now that he's incarcerated. I mean, I was there for so long, but I ended up having my kids and I mean, I could be there for him. And it was just his childhood and he didn't have any guidance at the time and he was lost, hanging around with the wrong people. And I just ask that I know that he has to pay for what he did. But if you can find it in your heart, and I know God, he will have his judgment day, and he would have to pay, and he would only have to answer to him. But I ask that you just give him a life sentence.
All right. Thank you, Crystal. I pass the witness.
State?
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Gonzalez,
Yes,
sorry. What's your date of birth, ma'am?
My data,
And so you're cousins to Mr. Guzman, is that correct?
yes.
And so were y'all raised together?
We were raised together. My grandmother raised both of us.
And let me ask you, when did your grandmother pass away? How old were you, rather?
I was, oh my God, I don't remember.
You don't remember, but you're not much older than your cousin, are you? He's 27 years old right now.
I am 34.
You're 34? Okay. And have you murdered anybody?
No,
Okay. How many children do you have?
I have 5.
5 children. And let me ask you, you want them to have somebody to look up to, is that right?
Right.
And is this person that was just convicted of murder a person that you think that would be a good person to look up to?
No.
Okay, thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
No, nothing further.
All right, thank you so much. Defense, call your next witness.
Judge, I'll call Safa Guzman.
All right, Safa Guzman, you may proceed.
Okay, Safa, I'm going to have to ask you to speak a little louder, okay? Try to lean into the microphone. Can you tell the court your relationship to Brandon?
I am his sister.
Okay, and we heard Crystal talk about Brandon's childhood, and I assume you were in the same situation, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is Brandon older than you?
Yes, sir.
And I guess Crystal talked about the situation in the in y'all's childhood involving your grandfather. Do you believe that had an effect on Brandon's behavior and how he acted later on in life?
Of course it did.
Did you or any of your family ever get counseling?
No,
And I assume no criminal charges were ever filed.
No.
And the grandfather in question is now deceased, correct?
yes, sir.
And after y'all's grandmother died, were y'all eventually adopted by an aunt?
Yes,
Okay. But y'all have had no contact with your birth mother.
we did every now and then.
Okay. But not for a long time, or it was intermittent.
We couldn't. She was hard to handle.
Okay. We talked about Brandon, and when you talked to me about Brandon as a brother and the Brandon you saw. Did you ever notice a time when you thought Brandon's behavior began to change, and that you were concerned that he was maybe hanging with the wrong people or running with the wrong crowd?
Yes.
Did you ever try to talk to him about that?
No.
But you're younger by what you said, 4 years. Is that correct?
5 years apart.
5 years apart. And what would you like to ask the judge to consider in regard to his sentence? You understand he was convicted, and all we're here for today is the judge to determine what his sentence is.
I understand what his sentence is. I would just ask to be reduced. He has a child to attend to. He has a family that loves him. We miss him. He's done 4 years. Like 99 years, really too much.
Okay, so you're just asking the judge to take into consideration his childhood and the problems he had in assessing whatever sentence she gives him.
If she would, please.
Okay, I pass the witness.
All right, State.
Thank you, Your Honor. Actually, I think I misstated the defendant's age earlier, so I'd like to correct that. How old are you, ma'am?
I'm 18,
18. And do you know how old your brother is?
23.
23. Thank you. I stated earlier 27, so that was incorrect. I want to correct that. I have one question for you. If a family member of yours was shot in the face, how many years would you like that person that shot them in the face to get?
Not a lifetime.
Not a lifetime? What would you like them to get?
Mm. 5 to 30 years. 5 to 30 years.
5 to what?
30 years.
5 to 30 years if somebody shot your family member in the face. Okay. No further questions, John.
I'm nothing further.
All right, you may be excused. Defense, call your next witness.
I'd like to call Felicity Soto.
All right, Felicity Soto.
May I proceed?
Defense, yes.
Felicity, could you please lean into the microphone so we can?
Yes,
Felicity, tell us how you related to Brandon.
I'm his cousin.
Okay, and we've heard testimony from Crystal and Safa about their experiences as children. Were you raised in the same house with them?
Yes, we all were.
And I take it you suffered the same situation they did in regard to your grandfather?
That is correct.
Did I take it, have you ever sought counseling or talked to anybody about what
No.
happened?
We didn't get help.
Okay. Did you get placed in foster care with Brandon and his sister, or were you in a different?
No, I had my mother.
Okay. Did you ever notice a change? I'm sorry, what's your age?
I'm 24.
So did you ever notice a change in Brandon's behavior? I guess throughout all his experiences in foster care and then finally getting adopted.
Yes, we did.
And what did you notice?
He was just, whenever my grandma had passed, he changed a lot. He was with the wrong crowd, acted up. You could just tell he went his way.
Okay. Do you, when he was in and out of foster care, did you ever see his birth mother come around?
Rarely.
Okay. And was there ever any counseling provided to Brandon about the situations either involving his grandfather or the situation with mom and things like that you're aware of?
No.
What are you asking the judge to consider in regard to Brandon's sentence? You understand he was convicted of this murder charge, and all we're here today to do is have the judge determine what his sentence is going to be.
All we can ask is mercy on his sentencing.
Okay. Obviously there's a family involved on the other side, right? That is grieving and hurt by the situation. I'm sure you understand
Yes.
their perspective, right? You're
Yes.
just asking the judge to consider some sort of leniency.
Yes, we would.
I pass it. Witness.
Let's stay.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, you may be excused. Call your next witness.
Let's rest.
All right, state any rebuttal witnesses.
No rebuttal. Witness.
All right, defense, if you could have the trial court certification signed and tendered to the court,
That
please.
you have a right of appeal.
All right, state, do you have argument?
Yes, we do, Your Honor. We'll reserve our argument.
All right, defense argument.
Judge, in regard to the extraneous cases that the state has introduced, I think there's still the same standard of proof that's required to believe it beyond a reasonable doubt. I think clearly the fact there's no witnesses provided in regard to those cases, I don't think the court can place weight on those. One case, where they found this Miranda Garcia's ID, she's charged with her own separate murder charge. So I think if we look at what we should be looking at is this case here, and obviously the jury made its determination based upon the evidence. I would ask the court to consider Mr. Guzman's problematic childhood, and obviously there are people who have the same situations, and everyone handles things differently. This sounds, particularly with foster care and the abuse he suffered, I think would be, an explanation for how he went off track. I'd ask the court to assess a sentence of 35 years I think it's appropriate based on, based on the circumstances. And I think it adequately assesses punishment on this case.
All right, State?
Yes, Your Honor. In this particular case, Your Honor, the extraneous offices that defense counsel brought up in their close, even if you discount the fact that all the shell casings from 45 caliber weapon all matched to over 3 months of different crimes of aggravated assaults and murders, you can throw all those out and don't even determine that in your determination on this particular case. Because if you just look at the case that he was convicted of murder, in this particular case, he went into another person's home, shot them in the face, started collecting items in a blanket, TVs, and other items of value, and started stealing from that individual after he shot him in the face and left him in the bathroom to die. Then was rifling through a closet when the other individual, Mark Hernandez, that did come in and testify. And you're aware that the trials and tribulations that that individual had to go through, because he entered and then he was also shot once in the chin and the neck and then once in the back. The fact is, the trauma that he went through alone calls for a much more sentence that is appropriate, because the fact is he almost died on that in that apartment building, in that room, because of this defendant going over there with his 45 caliber gun. He shot him, left him on the ground to die, and ran off like a coward. The fact remains is that could have easily been another death. That would have been a capital murder because multi-death. Now on top of that, he's stealing from them. So that's additional information about what the character of this individual is. Runs away in the dark, and the jury came back with the appropriate guilty verdict. So the state's position is, due to the circumstance of this murder alone and the aggravated assault that he committed while he was committing this murder, is it appropriate for a life sentence and only a life sentence for this individual?
Right. Mr. Guzman, is there anything you wish to say?
1 minute, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Guzman, if you wish to say more than that, you'll be called to testify and the state will have a chance to cross-examine you. So do you wish to say anything or no?
No.
Okay. All right. I heard all the evidence during the jury trial. I remembered everything. I've also had a chance to read the PSI report. I want both parties to know that I listen to each of the witnesses and I always internalize everything that they're saying. Murder charge, the range of punishment is 5 to 99 years or life. That's what the legislature has told us the range of punishment is for that. So that means that every murder case is not a life sentence case. And so I look at both things. Mr. Guzman, as you know, I've been a defense attorney and a prosecutor. So, and I've handled many types of cases. So I look at everything. I heard all the witnesses and I heard all the punishment witnesses. I understand what your family said with regards to your upbringing and what happened to you and what happened to them. All right, so this is what the court will do. The court is going to sentence you to 70 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. There's an affirmative finding of deadly weapon. Is there anything else from either side with regards to sentencing?
Not from the
Not from the
state.
defense, Judge.
I'm going to show you what's entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yeah.
All right, because this was not a plea bargain agreement, but a jury trial, you do have a right to an appeal. All right, and Mr. Maurer, with regards to any appeals, are you going to be handling the appeal?
No, Judge, I'm going to file a notice of appeal and motion to withdraw.
All right, so Mr. Guzman, what will end up happening is there will be an attorney appointed to you unless you hire one for purposes of your appeal. So we'll make sure that that's done. Yes.
Like that whole process starts.
Well, your attorney is going to file a notice of appeal. He's letting the court know on the record that he's going to file a notice of appeal. Then as soon as that's filed, what will end up happening is an attorney will be chosen from the will to handle the appeal. The court reporter will be asked to prepare a record for that. And so this court reporter who's heard this punishment, she will prepare her record, and the court reporter who heard the trial will prepare the record, and then both sides will get a chance to prepare a brief, and the state will get a chance to answer whatever brief is prepared by your appellate counsel. All right, is there anything else, Mr. Guzman?
Oh, man.
All right, state, is there any victim impact?
Oh, well, let me check. Yes, there is, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Guzman, my understanding is there's going to be someone who will speak to you. I require that everyone treat everyone with respect, so they're going to treat you with respect. Just listen to what they have to say.